Hello everyone, time for a story on this day of love. To Emilia with Love and Worry, written by Grand Theft Motto. I received my first Valentine when I was 6 years old. It was a commercial card, bubblegum pink, decorated with bright cartoon animals. There was no envelope, no note, just a brief message scrawled on the back in shaky handwriting. To Emilia with Love and Worry. My parents guessed it was from Bobby Everett, a boy my age who lived down the street. I was skeptical and found it unlikely that 6-year-old me was the object of any boy's affection. At that age, I seemed all elbows and scraped knees. I liked my hair short, and you were more likely to find me in scuffed overalls than dresses. When I confronted Bobby in class that week, he confirmed my doubts by sticking out his tongue and telling me he'd rather eat bugs than kiss me. I left him with a black eye for that last part. The identity of my Valentine remained a secret. I received a second Valentine the following year. It was another card, white this time with floral edges. There was no message on the back, only a dark red smear in the shape of a heart. I assumed it was crayon or lipstick, but my parents looked deeply uncomfortable and threw the Valentine away immediately. Another year, another Valentine. When I opened the mailbox that third year, there was no card. Only a small object topped by a red silk bow. It was an index finger. The nail painted a brilliant blue. We'd gotten a lot of snow that February, so it took me quite a while to trudge back to the house, boots sinking deep into the fresh powder with every step. I showed the finger with its little bow to my mom, not sure what to make of it. She screamed and got my dad. Then the police came. I remember it all as a whirlwind of concerned faces and adults whispering. I was not allowed to collect the mail myself anymore. It didn't matter though. My Valentines continued to find me year after year. They would show up in unusual places. One year there was a card containing a picture of me while I slept. I found the card under my pillow. I didn't tell my parents. I tore it up and threw it away myself. Another year, I walked outside to find the mangled remains of a blue jay on our welcome mat. Someone had torn the wings off the bird. Mom and Dad blamed the dead animal on our cat, but I knew the blue jay was from my Valentine. I found the wings later that night, placed in my dresser drawer, tied together with a red silk ribbon topped in a bow. I vividly remember the year I turned 16. That was when my parents finally decided to move. My grim Valentines had gotten stranger and stranger. Some years there were multiple. Well, it feels weird calling them gifts. But that's what they were. It didn't matter what we did or where my parents looked. My secret admirer always found a way to hide his Valentines somewhere I would find them. Dead roses placed on my nightstand, a skinned rabbit hanging in the garden, a mason jar half filled with blood. The jar was still warm when I pulled it from where my Valentine had hidden it in my fridge. I remember the way the glass caught the light, reflected it back scarlet. I poured the blood down the drain and threw away the jar before my parents could find it. Then I went to the bathroom and threw up. It wasn't the jar or the rabbit or the roses that caused us to move, though. The final straw for my parents was the eyes. I found those on my windowsill, on the inside. The eyes were there when I woke up, pointed towards me as if they were watching me sleep. They seemed watery, cleanly removed, and the irises were as green as a summer field. I remember thinking the eyes looked sad, which is impossible to tell without a face for context, but the impression stuck me then and has stayed with me since, even all of these years later. Usually I tried to hide my Valentines to avoid upsetting my parents, but that year I couldn't help myself. I screamed when I saw the eyes. It was something about the way they seemed to watch me, or maybe it was the knowledge that whoever was giving me these gifts every year had been in my bedroom that night, had placed the eyes just so, and picked green irises so similar to my own. The scream brought my parents, already so on edge that time of year. There were police again, more calls and questions without answers. I sat on the couch while they talked and worried and moved about the room. When the police turned to me and asked if I had anything to add, I told them everything. I told them about the other Valentines I'd hidden or thrown away before my parents could see, about the jar in the fridge, the picture under my pillow. It felt like a confession, like I was an accomplice in a way, covering the tracks of my admirer. But my parents didn't blame me. They knew I was only trying to spare them pain. We began packing immediately and moved 3 states over by April. I was sad to leave my school, but I loved our new house. It was nestled in a quiet cul-de-sac, in the middle of a gentle half-acre of yard draped by willows. Our first year there was wonderful. Then February 14th came around again, and again I received a Valentine. I was 17 then and refused to stay afraid of opening the mailbox. When I peered in that morning, there were no letters, no cards or messages. Inside of the mailbox was a human heart, wet and red. It took every ounce of willpower in me to clean up that mess before my parents noticed. I didn't want to move again, to try to run anymore. Luckily, that year marked my final twisted gift. Maybe a heart was the last thing my Valentine had to give, or maybe they found someone else to admire. I lost touch with most of my childhood friends after the move, but I kept in contact with a few of them, including Bobby, the same Bobby that said he'd rather eat bugs than kiss me. We've been married for nearly a decade now. Our daughter Esme just turned 6 this year. I hadn't thought about my secret admirer in a long time, but I felt a deep chill when I opened our mailbox this morning and found a bubblegum pink card addressed to my daughter, to Esme, with love and worry. Thanks again, everyone. Make sure to watch for your Valentines in the mail. Lots of love from the Mistress.